എൻ്റെ വീഡിയോ എൻ്റെ വീഡിയോ ക്ലിയർ ആണെന്ന് ഞാൻ വിചാരിക്കുന്നു. ഓക്കെ. ഓക്കെ, ഫൈൻ. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ചാറ്റ് ബോക്സിൽ പറയാട്ടോ. ഓക്കെ. എൻ്റെ പേര് ലക്ഷ്മി. ഞാൻ പോളിഗ്രാഡിലത്തെ ഫാക്കൽറ്റി ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഇന്ന് നമ്മൾ യു ജി സി നെറ്റ് 40 ഡേയ്സ് തന്നെ നമുക്ക് യു ജി സി നെറ്റ് ആവാറായി. അപ്പോൾ യു ജി സി നെറ്റ് എക്സാം എങ്ങനെയാണെന്നും എൻ്റെ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസസ് എന്താണെന്നും ഏത് രീതിയിൽ നമുക്ക് ഈ എക്സാമിനെ അപ്രോച്ച് ചെയ്യാമെന്നും നമുക്ക് ഇന്ന് സംസാരിക്കാം. നമുക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും ഡൗട്ട്സ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ചാറ്റ് ബോക്സിൽ പറയുക. ഓക്കെ. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ ആദ്യം എൻ്റെ കുറിച്ച് പറയാം. ഞാൻ പോണ്ടിച്ചേരി യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിൽ MA ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ റിലേഷൻസ് പൊളിറ്റിക്കൽ സയൻസ് വിദ്യാർത്ഥിനിയാണ്. ഈ അടുത്താണ് എൻ്റെ ഗ്രാജുവേഷൻ ഞാൻ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ചെയ്തത്. ഞാൻ നെറ്റും JRFും കഴിഞ്ഞ കൊല്ലം 2024 സെപ്റ്റംബറിൽ ഉണ്ടായ നെറ്റും JRFും UGC നെറ്റാണ് ക്രാക്ക് ചെയ്തത്. എൻ്റെ മാർക്ക് 246 ആയിരുന്നു 300-ൽ. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ ഒരു 3 months പ്രിപ്പറേഷൻ ആണ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. പക്ഷെ ഞാൻ കുറച്ചും കൂടി ഫോക്കസ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നത് ലാസ്റ്റ് ഒരു 1.5 months ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ എന്തൊക്കെയാണ് പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്തത്, ഏതൊക്കെ സെക്ഷൻസ് ആണ് കൂടുതൽ എംഫസൈസ് ചെയ്തതെന്ന് ഞാൻ ഷെയർ ചെയ്യാൻ പോവുകയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഹെൽപ്ഫുൾ ആയിരിക്കും എന്ന് ഞാൻ വിചാരിക്കുന്നു. ഓക്കെ, നമുക്ക് സെഷനിലേക്ക് തുടങ്ങുന്നതിന് മുന്നേ നമുക്ക് ഒരു എക്സാമിന്റെ ഒരു പാറ്റേൺ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ രീതി നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കാം. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയാം, UGC നെറ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഭയങ്കര ഒബ്ജക്റ്റീവ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ പേപ്പർ ആണ് അല്ലെ. ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു 150 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആണ് ഉള്ളത്. 150 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസിൽ 2 പാർട്സ് ഉണ്ട്. ഒരു പാർട്ട് എ ഉണ്ട്, ഒരു പാർട്ട് ബി ഉണ്ട്. പാർട്ട് എയിലാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഈ കുറച്ചും കൂടി ആപ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഡ്സ്, ഇപ്പോൾ ടീച്ചിങ് ആപ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഡ്, റിസർച്ച് ആപ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഡ്, അതുകൂടാതെ തന്നെ ലോജിക്കൽ റീസണിങ്, അതൊക്കെയാണ് പാർട്ട് കവർ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. പിന്നെ കോംപ്രിഹെൻഷൻ ഒക്കെയാണ്, കുറച്ച് GK ആണ് കവർ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. പാർട്ട് ബി നമ്മുടെ സബ്ജക്റ്റായ പൊളിറ്റിക്കൽ സയൻസിനെയാണ് കവർ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. 10 യൂണിറ്റ് ഉണ്ട്, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയാം എന്ന് ഞാൻ വിചാരിക്കുന്നു. സിലബസിൽ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള യൂണിറ്റ്സ് ഏതൊക്കെയാണ് നമ്മൾ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതായിരിക്കും. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പോൾ ഇതൊക്കെ എൻ്റെ പെർസെപ്ഷൻസ് ആണ് കേട്ടോ. അപ്പോൾ അതും മനസ്സിലാക്കുക. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ പ്രിപ്പറേഷൻ ബേസിക്കലി ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ മാതിരി 3 മാസം ഞാൻ പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അതിനെക്കാട്ടും മുന്നേ ഞാൻ ആദ്യം ഒരു അറ്റംപ്റ്റ് ജൂലൈയിൽ കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ ജൂലൈ അല്ല, ജൂണിലായിരുന്നു. നിങ്ങളുടെ എല്ലാവരുടെയും മാറ്റി തന്നെ ജൂണിൽ ആയിരിക്കുമല്ലോ ഫസ്റ്റ് ഫേസ് ഓഫ് നെറ്റ് ഉണ്ടാവാറ്. അപ്പോൾ ആ എക്സാം ക്യാൻസൽ ആവുകയും അത് പിന്നെ റീറൈറ്റ് ചെയ്യുകയാണ് ചെയ്തത്. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പോൾ ആ എക്സാം ഞാൻ വലിയ പ്രിപ്പറേഷൻ ഒന്നും ഇല്ലാണ്ടാണ് പോയി എഴുതിയത്. അപ്പൊ എനിക്ക് കുറച്ച് കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ മനസ്സിലായി. അപ്പൊ നമുക്ക് ആദ്യം എക്സാമിനേഷനിൽ നമ്മൾ എന്താ ചെയ്യുന്നതെന്ന് മനസ്സിലാക്കിയാൽ നമുക്ക് ആ ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ വെച്ചിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ സ്ട്രാറ്റജി നമുക്ക് ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ ആ എക്സാം എഴുതിയപ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിലായ കാര്യം എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ 180 മിനിറ്റ്സ് ആണുള്ളത്. 180 മിനിറ്റ്സിൽ നമുക്ക് 150 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് കവർ ചെയ്യണം. അപ്പോൾ മിക്ക ആൾക്കാർക്കും ഇൻക്ലൂഡിങ് എനിക്കും അത് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റിയില്ല. അപ്പോൾ കാരണം പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് എനിക്ക് കുറെ എൻ്റെ വീക്ക്നെസ്സസ് എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിലായി. പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് പാർട്ട് എ നമുക്ക് ഭയങ്കര ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ട് ആയിട്ട് തോന്നും. കാരണം നമ്മൾ അത്ര റിലേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാത്ത കുറച്ച് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആണ്. പാർട്ട് ബി നമുക്ക് എല്ലാ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസും ഭയങ്കര സുപരിചിതമായി തോന്നും. ഒരു അറ്റ്ലീസ്റ്റ് 40 to 50 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് നമുക്ക് സോൾവ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നതാണ്. ബാക്കി 40 to 50 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസിലാണ് നമ്മുടെ കോമ്പറ്റീഷൻ വരുന്നത്, നമുക്ക് ഒരു എഡ്ജ് കൊണ്ടുവരാൻ പറ്റുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പോൾ ഈ ബാക്കി 40 to 50 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 50 to 60 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ഭയങ്കര ഫാക്ച്വൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആണ്. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ പൊളിറ്റിക്കൽ സയൻസ് സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് ആണ്, UGയിലും നമ്മൾ PGയിലും പഠിക്കുന്ന ഒരു സബ്ജക്റ്റ് ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് കൺസെപ്റ്റൽ ക്ലാരിറ്റി അത്യാവശ്യം കുഴപ്പമില്ലാണ്ട് ഉണ്ടാവും. അപ്പോൾ പക്ഷെ നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയാം, നെറ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഭയങ്കര ഒബ്ജക്റ്റീവ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആയതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഫാക്ട്സ് നമുക്ക് നന്നായിട്ട് മഗപ്പ് ചെയ്യേണ്ട ഒരവസ്ഥ ഈ അടുത്തായിട്ട് ഭയങ്കര കൂടുതലായിട്ട് വരുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഒരു രീതിയിലായിരിക്കണം നമ്മൾ ഈ എക്സാമിന് അപ്രോച്ച് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഞാൻ ആ രീതിയിലാണ് എക്സാമിന് അപ്രോച്ച് ചെയ്തത്. കുറെ ഫാക്ട്സ് പഠിക്കുക, അതാണ് ബേസിക്കലി പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് പാർട്ട് ബിയിൽ പറയാനുള്ളത്. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ഒരു സ്കെഡ്യൂളൊക്കെ ഞാൻ വേണമെങ്കിൽ പറയാം. ഇപ്പോൾ ഞാനൊരു ലാസ്റ്റ് ഒരു 1.5 monthsലാണ്, കാരണം അതിന് മുന്നേയുള്ള 2 മാസം ഞാൻ അത്യാവശ്യം നോട്ട്സ് ഒക്കെ കമ്പൈൻ ചെയ്യാനൊക്കെ നോക്കി. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ ഓൾറെഡി ഏതെങ്കിലും ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ, പോളിഗ്രാഡ് മാതിരി ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ്റെ അണ്ടറിൽ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഓൾറെഡി നോട്ട്സ് കിട്ടിയിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. അപ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെ എഫേർട്ട് എടുക്കേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ല. ഇല്ലെങ്കിലും കുഴപ്പമൊന്നുമില്ല, നമുക്ക് പല രീതിയിൽ കുറെ വീഡിയോസ് അവൈലബിൾ ആണ്, അതിലൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് കിട്ടും. ടെക്സ്റ്റ് ബുക്ക് മാതിരിയുള്ള കുറെ ആപ്സുകൾ ഉണ്ട്, അതിൽ കുറെ പ്രീവിയസ് ഇയർ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ്, കുറെ മോക്ക് ടെസ്റ്റുകൾക്ക് ഫ്രീ ആയിട്ട് കിട്ടാറുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അതൊക്കെ നോക്കുക. അപ്പോൾ ആദ്യം നമ്മൾ ഫസ്റ്റ് സ്റ്റെപ്പ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ മാതിരി നമ്മൾ ഏത് സ്റ്റേജിലാണ് എന്ന് നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കണം. ഇപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ ഇപ്പോൾ 40 ഡേയ്സേ ഉള്ളൂ, നിങ്ങൾ ഫ്രം സ്ക്രാച്ച് ആണ് തുടങ്ങുന്നതെങ്കിലും ആദ്യം നിങ്ങൾ പ്രോപ്പറായിട്ട് ഒരു മോക്ക് ടെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുക. ഞാൻ അങ്ങനെയാണ് ചെയ്തത്. ഒരു പ്രോപ്പറായിട്ട് പാർട്ട് എയും പാർട്ട് ബിയും ഒന്നിച്ചല്ല, ഒരു 3 മണിക്കൂർ സെറ്റപ്പിൽ ഞാൻ മോക്ക് ടെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തു. അപ്പോഴാണ് എനിക്ക് പാർട്ട് എയിൽ ഞാൻ വീക്ക് ആണെന്നും പാർട്ട് ബിയിൽ ചില ഏരിയാസിൽ പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് പബാഡിലൊക്കെ ഞാൻ അത്ര നന്നായിട്ട് സ്കോർ ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല എന്നും എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിലായത്. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ ഏത് ലെവലിലാണ്, നിങ്ങൾ ഏതൊക്കെ സെക്ഷൻസിലാണ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് നിങ്ങൾ അത്യാവശ്യം നന്നായിട്ട് പെർഫോം ചെയ്യണതും ഏതൊക്കെ സെക്ഷൻസിലാണ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇമ്പ്രൂവ്മെന്റ് വേണ്ടതും എന്നറിയണമെങ്കിൽ മോക്ക് ടെസ്റ്റ് നിർബന്ധമായി ചെയ്യണം. രണ്ടാമത് ഞാൻ ആ ഒരു 1.5 മാസത്തിൽ കൂടുതൽ ഫോക്കസ് ചെയ്തത് 2 കാര്യത്തിലാണ്. ഒന്ന് റിവിഷൻ, രണ്ടാമത് മോസ്റ്റ് ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ്ലി PYQs. അപ്പോൾ എൻ്റെ ഓർമ്മയിൽ ഞാനൊരു 7 to 8 hours എല്ലാ ദിവസവും പഠിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ ഈ 7 to 8 hours പകുതി ഞാൻ റിവൈസ് ചെയ്യാനും പകുതി ഞാൻ PYQs ചെയ്യാനും, പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് പാർട്ട് എ ഈ പറയുന്ന മാതിരി 50 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസേ ഉള്ളൂ എന്ന് നമ്മൾ വിചാരിക്കും. പക്ഷെ ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ഓക്കെ ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് ഓക്കെ 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 അപ്പോ മലയാളം അറിയാത്ത ആൾക്കാരുണ്ട് എന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ സംസാരിച്ചാൽ കുഴപ്പമില്ലല്ലോ, ഒരു കുട്ടി ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ സംസാരിക്കണം എന്നാണ് പറഞ്ഞത്. Is it fine if I talk in English? Is it fine for everyone? Can you guys reply? Anyone else like yeah, okay, everyone is fine with it. Okay, fine. Okay, uh so basically I was talking about what are my experiences in cracking UGC net. So as I said before, so maybe you didn't understand if there are non-Malayalam speakers here. So basically, I was talking about the fact that my preparation timeline was about 3 months, and in the last 1.5 months, I focus more on the last 1.5 months. So we all have only 40 days to crack the examination. I hope that my experiences would be helpful for each one of you. Okay, so in the last 1.5 months, I focused more on 2 aspects. One is revising whatever you have. Like even if you are not part of any of the institutions, you will get a plenty of resources from YouTube, and even a mock test from websites such as Testbook. So try to mobilize it first. And most importantly, the first step should be you need to understand it at what stage you are in. Okay, so basically so I'm repeating my points basically. So basically you have to do a mock test first. Do part A and part B mock test within the time period, like within 3 hours. If you're not getting any access to any of the mock tests, get a previous year question paper, put a timer of 3 hours and try to do it. Then you will understand in what all parts you are weak at or what are your strengths. So you should focus more on the weak parts. So because our time is very limited, so better to focus on your weakest part. So when I did the mock test, what I found was that I think it will be most probably everybody will be facing the same issues. That is the first part, especially the part A, where we focus more on the aptitude, research aptitude, teaching aptitude, and the data analysis part would be much difficult because it is something that we don't know, right? So we have to focus more on that. And on part B, most probably about 50% of the questions, we will be very familiar with most of the questions, but about only 50 or 40 to 50% of questions I was able to solve. About 60% of questions I was guessing, and I was not able to get the right answers because it was very factual. So you guys, everybody know that UGC net is becoming more factual. It's becoming more fact based. So mostly we have to focus rather than on conceptual clarity. We need to focus more on mugging up the facts. It is a little bit difficult, but still we have to focus more on that. So yeah, so basically So this is what this is what I have observed about the part A and part B sessions, and I'll try to make you understand. I mean, I will just share my my schedule. I guess it will be helpful for you guys. So in the last 40 days, or I think 50 to 60 days, I studied for about 7 to 8 hours. It depends on individual, on yourself. If you guys can study well. More, if you guys are can catch up with the sections more, then you won't have to take this much of time. So so half of my preparation I focused on revising, and half of my preparation I focused on previous year question papers. So the previous year question papers, especially part A, because part A we need to I suggest that better than studying a whole, like you will get lot of books and resources. You will get proper books on part A. You can buy it on online and all. I've seen people relying on it, but if we don't have much time, it's better to focus more on the previous year questions, because we'll get lot of questions, because lot of question papers, right? Like compared to part B, part A is there for every subject. So if you are able to solve part A question papers every day in like for 40 days, if you are able to if you are able to solve 40 question papers, at least 20 question papers, you will have a understanding of what kind of questions are asked. And in part A especially, there are various areas where the questions are very repetitive, especially in teaching aptitude, even in the Indian philosophy, or on questions related to education system. So what I did was, I not only studied the questions in the question paper, I also focused on the options also. So that I could cover most of the parts. So you need to also study. It's not just solving the question papers. You need to study the question papers. I'm talking especially about the about part A. That would be very helpful to cover all the parts. And if we talk about why I'm emphasizing on part A is the fact that you will get an edge, because so I scored about out of 100, I scored 80 marks in part A itself. So it will be very helpful, because most of us are good at, I mean, political science is our our area, right? So most of us will be able to score about like more than 150, or like maybe 100 to 150 will be able to score in political science itself. So in order to get a edge than others, or to get more marks, we need to focus on the 40 percentage of the part B, that we normally are not able to, like it will be more like medium to high level uh, range of difficult level questions, and the part A questions. So that's why please do not ignore part A, because in most of the cases I've found that people ignore part A. Please don't ignore part A. You need to focus both on part B and part A in the coming days. So if we talk about part B, so yeah, so I have, if I as I'm talking about marks, you need to at least score 200 out of 300 in order to secure net. Like if you're scoring more than 200, you will get net. That's what the trend talks about. But to get JRF, you may need to score more, but there is more possibility of getting JRF, and you'll surely get net if you are able to score 200 marks out of 300, which is to get 100 questions out of 150 correct. Okay, so now you will be understanding that even though the question paper is at a from a easy to medium level of difficulty, the cutoff is very high. So that is the real problem. So you need to cover most of the parts. And you will be able to cover, as I told before, if you are focusing more on previous year's question papers, you will be able to cover a lot of the most of the syllabus that has been given to us. Now, if you're focusing on part B, as I've been emphasizing on, you need to focus on the factual part. And if you are starting from the scratch right now, don't worry. we have certain sections that I think I have actually I have found certain sections where certain questions or certain parts of units or certain units that are very important, from where more than 10 to 15 questions come from. So I will share my screen. It's just the syllabus. Okay. So it's just a syllabus. So you will be understanding. I hope you guys can. Is it visible? It's visible, right? Yes, okay, it is visible. Fine. So this is our syllabus. If you guys have, please download if you don't have your syllabus with you. It's very important. So most of the questions will come from the syllabus itself. So as I said before, even the part A question papers, we find most of the questions are a little bit repetitive. In part B, they won't. Of course, we have like 100 questions to solve. So many of those questions may not be repetitive, but most of the scholars they are discussing, most of the books they are discussing, just whenever you are doing PYQs. So as I said before, along with part A, you also need to do, what I have done is every day for like the last 40 days of my preparation, I have studied PYQs, for 40 PYQs or 40 PYQs of both part A and part B. So whenever I study, I will note down the scholars, the books that are repetitively coming in the question papers. It will be very helpful for you guys also. So I will talk about the syllabus itself. So basically, what I think is that there are basically the three units that are very important, where more questions come from. One is international relations, second is political institutions in India, third is public administration. In this, public administration is a very easy topic, because it's something that we are very familiar with. Even when we are studying in UG and PG, it's more right. It's more objective, right? There are a lot of committees, there are a lot of scholars. They only talk about that, nothing more than that. But the most difficult part is political institutions in India. If you guys know about Lakshmi Kant, the whole syllabus that is given in Lakshmi Kant is copy and pasted here. So the scope is very large, and that's the very reason I think the one of the when my in my first attempt, I think about 20 to 30 questions was solely from the political institutions in India, that specific unit. Even in the last question paper also, you will find about like 10 to 15 questions majorly from this unit. So we will try to understand in each unit which all sections are repetitively asked. So if you guys don't have much time to study, better to maybe focus on things on the sessions that I've highlighted. I'm not assuring that. Please keep that in your mind, that I'm not assuring that in whatever I have ignored, the parts I've ignored, they don't ask questions from them. They do ask, but they are not frequently asked. Okay, so I'm just trying to make the preparation more easy, to make you understand what all sections are important. So the first one is Unit 1, Political Theory. So you can find mostly political theory is a very foundational part of the syllabus, right? Even in UG and PG also, the first unit will be political theory. So it is also interconnected with most of the other part of the syllabus. So they tend to ask less questions from political theory. I am talking about this according to the trends of the last 3 years. So they may change. Okay, they may change their mind. But as they can't ask like very objective questions from this unit, they mostly talk about feminism, ecologism, multiculturalism, power and citizenship. Even power and citizenship also, these are aspects that are discussed in international relations and comparative politics. So they try to mix it up and ask. That is Unit 1 for you guys. And Unit 2 and Unit 3, as I've highlighted it with a green marker, they're very important. And it is also much easier to study, because they have specifically picked up scholars, politicians, and personalities. So we will have very definite questions about their philosophies, books related to them. historical events related to them, that is very important, chronology among them, and most importantly, we miss out a very major part, that is the things that they criticize. So normally, in the recent question papers have been focusing on the modern thinkers of both Western political thought and Indian political thought. In as I talked about criticism, for example, I'll give you an example. M.N. Roy, he is against political parties. So that the ideas that they criticize are emphasized in most of the questions. It can be mostly like statement type of questions, and also very objective questions related to their philosophies and their books. So these are the questions that come from both Indian political thought and Western political thought, and both the sessions can be covered at least within 5 days. So and it's also easier to revise because there are not much things related to it. So yeah, so these two units are very important. Unit for comparative political analysis is actually a very major part of the syllabus. You can find there are a lot of subsections, but according to the recent trends, I find that comparative political analysis is they're focusing less on comparative political analysis. Only like six, maybe a maximum of 6 questions are asked from this unit. So I focus more on the approach. I focus, of course, I've studied the PYQs and all, the questions in the PYQs and all, but they have been focusing more on the approaches, the like very major personalities such as David Easton and all. So or Elton Mayo, okay. So no, not Elton Mayo, sorry, David Easton and people like that who are related to Anthony Giddens, okay. So who are related to this approaches are majorly focused upon. And they have been focusing on the development theories and elite theories. Elite theories is a personal favorite of UGC Net, I guess, because in most of the question papers you will find questions related to elite theories, and also recently they have been focusing on party systems, not only of India, especially the major powers. So the UGC Net recently have an obsession with the major historical events, or the political party systems, politics going on with the major powers in the country, especially US, Russia, China, and maybe UK. So US, Russia, and China, lot of current affairs questions, lot of questions related to international relations, related to their political systems, related to their presidents are asked. So just try to focus more on them a little bit, because about like 4 to 5 questions are randomly asked about these countries and their and their political systems and politics. So please keep that in your mind. Now if we focus upon international relations is a very important unit. You have to maybe cover most of the parts, and they focus more on approaches, especially realism and neorealism and international theory. They focus more on schools related to international relations. They the I mean the most difficult part, I find this unit a little bit difficult because most of the questions are literally out of the syllabus. They come, most of them are like related to current affairs, especially in the last two question papers. They have focused upon uh, recent developments that has happened in the international arena. For example, I think in the last question paper, they asked about which party does Meloni, who is currently the Prime Minister of Italy, belongs to, or what about the Trump administration, because I think the question, I mean the examination happened in January, and the whole American politics, the American elections happened in December. So so if there are any current affairs or something very important right now, please focus on that. They may ask a lot of questions from that also. And as I've talked about the major powers, they also tend to ask about their presidents, try to bring chronology among them, or their contribution to like if you guys know, the syllabus actually international relations, or the whole syllabus changed in 2018. Before that, under international relations, they also focused on Cold War, World War One, and World War Two, and all. So even though in this unit, Cold War or World War One or World War Two is not included, still questions related to, especially the contribution of US or USSR in Cold War or the World Wars, are specifically asked about. So just try to skim it, maybe read it from any of the any of the sources, or try to jot down a few important events that happened in these wars. And they specifically talk about the, in both international relations or even in Indian foreign policy, they are focusing on certain institutions, right? WTO, G20, BRICS, European Union, African Union. If they're specifically giving names of any personalities or any scholars or any institutions, try to focus upon that. They will ask one or two questions from these specific areas that they have provided with. So in international relations, you will find ICC, the WTO, G20, BRICS, and European Union and other organizations. So try to understand their membership, their contribution. So mainly that they talk about membership and very basic informations, like when it was founded, the chronology among them, any recent contributions into like maybe there are various challenges that are focused, that are talked about, right? Contemporary challenges like international terrorism, climate change. So what are the contributions of these organizations into these challenges could be a possible question. So now you guys know we are having a war going on between India and Pakistan. So most probably in this examination, or maybe in the next examination, you may find questions related to India Pakistan relation or terrorism. They may specifically ask about. So what all is happening about happening in the world, they may try to connect questions to that also. So try to focus upon that. Please keep that in your mind. Indian foreign policy, it's a very important part. They ask frequent questions from this unit. However, the thing is, these are the questions are also very what to say, it's not, they don't much stick to they don't stick to the syllabus in unit 6 also, but there are certain areas they try to focus on most of the time. They try to focus like at least 3 to 4 questions from will be from these sessions, such as India's nuclear policy. You have India's relations with major powers, USA, USSR, especially China. Recently, they have been obsessed with China, Chinese leaders, and its relations with the world. And as I've talked about, the organizations you need to focus on and the contemporary challenges, like as we have discussed earlier, terrorism and cyber security. Environment security, you will cover it in part A itself, so you don't have to focus much on that. Focus more on, I think, terrorism will be, I think there will be a question on terrorism, most probably, I hope so. Now, Unit 7, Political Institutions in India. It is a little bit difficult unit because the scope is very large. They can literally ask from anywhere. Yeah, so one point I missed out is that in regional organizations, you need to focus on the heads of the government or the heads of the organizations. They or the meetings of these organizations. They try to give you chronology questions on that. So whatever organizations, especially the in Indian foreign policy like SARC or IMF, WTO, or maybe the IPCC or United Nations, the General Secretary of United Nations, they can ask chronology about that. They can ask about the sessions of IPCC, right? You guys know about or G20 sessions, where it happened, and try to bring a chronology among them. So you can focus on that. Those are the questions that they normally ask now. So it's a little bit difficult, but I hope you guys will be able to study that. Now, political institutions in India, it's a very vast topic, but there are certain areas that they always try to bring questions from there. So one is colonialism heritage. So it's basically about the 1773, from 1773 Regulation Act to Indian Independence Act of 1947. All the charter acts you can talk about, where in which act did the British government bring diarchy. Those kind of questions will be asked. And philosophy of constitution, it's basically it's just very important. They in most of the questions they will ask most of the question papers they will ask questions related to that. So basically, philosophy of constitution is basically like, you guys know that Indian constitution is basically amalgamation of lot of ideas from other constitutions that we have adopted from other constitutions, right? For example, if we talk about fundamental rights, we got it from American constitution. So those kind of analogies, right? You guys need to specify, you guys need to understand like from which all constitutions we have not copied, but we have adopted ideas. Questions, a lot of questions asked from this part. And another important part is constitutional amendments, 42nd amendment, 44th amendment, and the recent amendment from 100th amendment to 107th amendment. You guys need to learn most of them. And then all this union, executive, judiciary, legislature. In these questions, you guys need to focus on four things. One, like there are certain positions given, right? So they will try to ask chronologies of people who have held the position, like the presidents and the prime ministers, historical events related to them. How are they elected? How are they terminated? And if they are talking about committees, how many number there? What are the number of membership? How are they elected? Is there any representation, any kind of representation in these committees? Those kind of questions are normally asked. They are very focused on they normally focus on how are they elected, how are they terminated. These 2 points, or these kind of questions are normally asked from this what to say, executive, judiciary, and legislature, that part. And so even in, the constitutional statutory body, even though they don't focus more on this, but they also ask a lot of questions. When were they found? Chronology among these bodies itself, they can ask. One of the, I mean, as I said before, these are a lot. There are a lot of facts, especially in this unit. So I used to use flashcards. If you, like most of you guys will be using it, you will get lot of apps. You will, from Play Store itself, you will get a lot of apps where you can make flashcards out of them, like Quizlet. You can make your own quizzes. You can make your own flashcards, exams from this objective questions from, especially from this unit. So rather than revising it by learning it from your book or from your notes, try to use the flashcards whenever you are free to revise, especially these kind of facts like articles, names of people. It will be very helpful. That's something that I have used, and it has actually worked out for me. Okay, and if we talk about Unit 8, political process in India, they don't ask much questions. Sometimes they'll ask a lot of questions, sometimes they don't. Mostly they ask about so one point, as I mentioned before, when you are learning the PYQs, you will find a lot of Indian scholars like Atul Kohli, Pranab Bardhan. These names, Amartya Sen, these names are very repetitive. They are very much related to the political development or political economy or socio-political uh, aspects of India. They have written a lot of works on them. So their works and their names, try to jot it down, try to learn it, make a list, because mostly we will find that most of the questions are from these people only. They don't there are few people like Atul Kohli, as I said, with Pranab Bardhan, and there are a lot many people like that. So try to focus on them, their ideas, their books. So you will get that from the PYQs itself. So try to focus on that. Mostly the questions, those kind of questions, like questions related to Indian scholars, it's also very repetitive question. And they talk about the movements related to language, the committees related to the Dalit movement and language movement a lot. And one of the most important part recently UGC Net is very obsessed with is the reorganization of Indian states, constitutional amendments related to the formation of Indian states, which all states, the say recently acknowledged states, the chronology among them, there are how many states, how many UTs, and everything related to that. They're very obsessed with. So Please focus on this. This is a very important part of the whole syllabus. They may ask even 3 questions, 3 to 4 questions from this particular session itself. And national parties and state parties, how many parties are there? What are the important parties? So these are the things that are very important. They also tend to ask from other parts also, but from these they are repetitively asking. So you guys can focus on that. Then if we talk about public administration, as I've said before, it is a very important and also very easy unit. You guys can cover it within like 20 days or 30 days. It's very, not 20 days, I mean 10 to 15 days you can cover it. Even you won't be needing 10 to 20 days. It's a very easy topic. They tend to ask about they repeatedly ask about a lot of scholars, especially Elton Mayo and all. They'll ask about them. And recently, you guys will find they are very obsessed with committees, public committees related to public administration. So initially, you guys will be knowing that public administration is something that came from United States of America. So whatever committees that has come come with respect to public administration or public policy in US and in India also, like Gorawala Committee, the administrative ARCs, right? There has been 2 ARCs. Focus on that. What and all, and especially public administration in India is a part that, even though it is not specifically talked about in many of the in the syllabus, but it is an area that you need to focus on. So I've specifically highlighted Chester Bernard, Follett, and Drucker. They ask questions on Chester Bernard a lot. Chester Bernard is a very repetitive scholar that has been asked in recent 5 years. So if there are scholars specifically talked about in the units, please focus on them. Then go to the other sections of the unit. Then the last unit, that is unit 10, public policy and governance, very important. Many questions. They consistently ask about 6 to 7 questions from this unit every time. So they focus on good governance part. All this from where India got the idea of citizen charter, which the first state where Lokpal or Lokayukta was came into existence, in which commission did Lokyukta, like it's ARC, the second ARC. In second ARC, we implemented Lokayukta. So those kind of questions could be asked, and of course Panchayati Raj constitutional amendments related to them, and Niti Aayog, members of Niti Aayog. Like they have specifically talked about Manrega and HRM and RTE. So certain, like you may find UPSC level kind of questions from these like specific policies, like something that we may miss out, like how many these many percentage of funds and all that kind of questions they may ask. They have asked it once or twice, but try to mobilize or try to study at least basic informations related to the specific policies that they have here focused on. And Jan Sunwa in social audit, they have asked it about 3 to 4 times. You can also specify. Recently they have been like they have asked a lot about this. So recently they don't tend to ask much about Jan Sunwa in social audit, but it is an important uh, part of the syllabus. So this is all about important parts that I think you guys can focus on. Now, if I talk about the examination, I think I initially I did talk about it. So when I wrote the examination, the first thing that happened to me is that I could not cover most of the questions because I didn't have much time. So I will prefer, I'll suggest that first do the part B questions, especially the comprehension questions. Comprehension questions are very easy to crack. They're very like for me at least. I think for most of us, comprehension questions are they ask very direct questions from comprehension questions. So first try to do that maybe, and then go to other sessions. So first you guys better do part B and then go to part A, because I think normally we tell that 1 hour you guys can give it for 50 questions, and for 100 questions you guys can give about like 2 hours. But I will suggest that please cover part B by 1.5 hours, so that at least we will have 1.5 hours for part A. which will be time consuming if you're not good at quantitative aspects or aptitude. If you're not good at, I personally, I'm really not good at mathematics or aptitude kind of questions. So I had to take about 1.5 hours to complete them. So try to complete it, complete part B as fast as you can. We can do it because there's no calculations and all, it's more objective. So try to complete it. And maybe uh, while doing mock tests. So that's why as I'm emphasizing, please do mock tests so that you will be understanding that how to manage time, that because that's very important. Because UGC net, the positive aspect of UGC net is that there is no negative marking. So if we miss out questions, um, we are missing out the possibilities of gaining more marks, right? So even if like in most of the even there will be there will be a few a part of questions that we may able to guess, right? So please try to do like please focus on time management. Please do previous year questions. So these are my suggestions, not suggestions, these are my experiences, and I hope it have been it is it is very it will turn helpful for you guys. So all the best and thank you for the session. If you guys have any
If you
questions,
have
please
any
ask.
doubts, yeah, you can ask. Okay, I think they don't have any doubts. If you have anything, you can chat with us. Okay, anyway. എന്നാലും നമ്മുടെ സെഷൻ ഓറിയന്റേഷൻ കൃത്യമായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് വേണ്ട രീതിയിൽ പറഞ്ഞു തന്നു. മാമിന് എല്ലാ സന്തോഷങ്ങളും അറിയിക്കുകയാണ്. അതുപോലെ പോളിഗ്രേഡിന്റെ ക്രാഷ് കോഴ്സും കൂടി ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതിൽ താല്പര്യമുള്ളവർക്ക് ജോയിൻ ചെയ്യാം. മറ്റു ഫ്രീ മെറ്റീരിയൽസ് കാര്യങ്ങൾ നമ്മൾ പ്രൊവൈഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. ഡെയിലി ടെസ്റ്റ് കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ പോകുന്നുണ്ട്. അത് ഫോളോ അപ്പ് ചെയ്യാം. ഓക്കെ, വൈൻഡ് അപ്പ് ഐ തിങ്ക്. താങ്ക് യു വൺ ആൻഡ് ഓൾ.